Good morning, golf betting YouTube. Uh, Here to cover the Tour Championship. Gonna make this video nice and fast because the tournament is starting relatively soon. So quick recap of last week at the BMW Championship. Absolutely massive week. Hit Victor at 19 to 1. Behind a back nine for the ages, a round that he called the best of his career. And, I completely concur with that. Overall, 15 unit tournament, massive. Had a feeling that one of those was coming, golf betting. There's a lot of variance. You can lose a few units, a few weeks in a row and then, have a week like last week where you just blow it out. So that was awesome. Victor, that was our fifth outright of the season, and two of them coming on Victor. We also had him back at Jack's place, where he won in that overtime against Denny McCarthy. So yeah, Victor has moved into a number one slot for our most profitable golfer this year. But touching really quick on last week, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, if I'm gonna say, on that back nine that I was feeling particularly confident. Scotty was just playing at such a high level. And, to put it in perspective, Hovland said that that was the best round of his life. And like I said, I mean, I do not dispute that whatsoever. It was unbelievable. Despite that, Scotty still had better ball striking stats in that round. So Scotty's ball striking is just otherworldly right now. Like, he's on a Tiger Woods level. And as I touched on last week, I just don't think that Scotty is going to have this amazing of a year and not have any big win. Obviously he didn't win any majors. Not that the Tour Championship is on that level, but especially after he blew it last year to Rory, and then, he blew it last week to Victor. And, I don't even really put that as much on him blowing it as it was, Victor ran him down with a damn near historical round. I mean, it was a course record, right? So getting into this week, truly, the Tour Championship is not a great betting event. Despite the success we had last year, Rory was my outright pick of the year. We ended up hitting that, really despite him starting 6 strokes back and then, handicapping himself an additional 3 strokes with a triple bogey on one. He ended up being able to do enough over the course of, the remaining 71 holes to come back and beat Scotty by one. So that just goes to show that, the value of these starting strokes are certainly, in my opinion, a bit overvalued. Like Scotty shouldn't be plus 140 to win this tournament because he's starting out, 2 strokes ahead of the next guy. So that's just not a market that I can bet into, even though I do think Scotty wins this week. I'm not betting a golfer at damn near even money to beat the other 29 best golfers over 72 holes. Golf is just way too variant for that. The margin of talent between these guys is so minuscule. That's just like a ridiculous number. But the thing is, I think it might be ridiculous for a reason. I mean, last year it was close to the same. Um, and, he ended up not winning. But let's not forget, he started out 66, 66, 66. And, it was the same thing. Like on the back nine on Sunday, I was not feeling great about my Rory ticket. Scotty, he hasn't been great at closing, but I think this week he does get it done. So that's my first pick of the week. I'm taking Scotty to win. And as you can see here, like he's plus 130. Like the best that you can get him at, it's like plus 150 offshore to win. So what I'm doing is taking him to win the lowest 72 hole score at plus 650. And yes, it is a little bit dangerous to do that because Scotty could, of course, win the tournament, but say Cantley finishes 3 strokes behind him, and he's starting 6 strokes back, so Cantley would have the lowest aggregate score, and that bet would lose. I understand that, and to be honest, we were dangerously close to losing that bet with Rory last year, winner without starting strokes, because Sungjae ran him down. But that being said, I'm very confident in Scotty this week, and I do think that if Scotty wins, very likely it's because Scotty dominates and Scotty wins by like 5 or 6 strokes. And, in that case, it's going to be very difficult for anybody in the field to, match him even with the handicap excluded. Quick run over to the model here and take a look. Um, yeah, this is, that was with Donald Ross being configured in. So, Rory is number one in the model this week. And, I really have nothing negative at all to say about Rory. I mean, last week he cashed the top 5 ticket for us. He unfortunately came up just short in the GB&I with Fitzpatrick, having a tournament, a great tournament. But one thing that I sort of overlooked there was the fact that, Fitzpatrick went to school at Northwestern, and if you look at the courses where he's really played well, where he won the U.S. Open, he won at Sedgefield, damn near won last week. They're all courses in Chicago where, he either went to school or, he played well, during college. So, Fitzpatrick, credit to him, he plays well at courses that he's familiar with and comfortable at. But my point is, Rory really did no wrong last week, outside of missing some short putts. The guy, he missed a 3-footer, and then he missed that 3-foot eagle putt, which almost cost him the top 5. Luckily, it ended up not mattering. And then he misses that birdie putt on 17, and he just sort of says to himself like, same old, same old. And that's why I'm not betting him to win this week. He's just not putting well enough from inside 12 feet to win. I mean, the thing is, outside of Xander, no one has played better here than Rory. So Rory can absolutely win. No question about that. And, he's actually number 1 in the model. Number 2 in strokes gained tee to green, number 1 in greens and regulation gained, number 1 in birdies are better gained, which, is a really important stat this week when he's going to have to chase Scotty down. Number 1 in strokes gained par 4, another really important stat this week with the majority of the holes being par 4s. So, Rory, I mean, it would come as no surprise, honestly, if Rory was able to win back-to-back years here. The only reason I'm not betting him is because, like I said, his putting is just not quite there for me. And, he's going to have to gain, half a stroke each round on Scotty. And, it's not like Rory is like the number 1 in the model by a mile. Like he, Scotty, and Glover are all super close. Not touching Glover this week, and this model's pulling from the last 24 rounds, and I think it's a little bit skewed, given that Glover has been, on a nuclear run with his putter, heading into last week, but his putting regressed, and a lot of these stats are still pulling, from when he was playing at his absolute best. Glover is 43 years old, and now he's playing his 4th tournament in 4 weeks. Worry a bit about fatigue here. So Glover, even though he rates really high, I'm not betting him at all this week, at least pre-flop. And the number 3 is Scotty, and Scotty, of course, best ball striker in the world, leads the field, tee to green approach, and the biggest thing here is around the green, right? Like there's no one with better short game than Scotty. He's number 1 there. Number 3 in birdies are better gained. Obviously his only bugaboo here is he's 28th in the field in putting. His putting on the back 9, still a major issue. But, the thing is, like Scotty, I said on Sunday, Scotty's putting sucks, but Scotty's going to be putting some approaches within, 3 or 4 feet So it's going to be essentially tap in birdies. And I actually underestimated him. He put a few within 1 foot, right? So, Scotty's going to be able to just set himself up. And, if he can just not lose strokes putting this week, which, I mean, he hasn't been able to do so in the past 3 tournaments, but heading into the weekend, he was actually putting much better last week. And, I just think, if Scotty cannot lose strokes putting is the bottom line, he wins this tournament going away. I think he wins this tournament and has the lowest 72 aggregate hole score, So Scotty to win is my only outright pick of the week. And then I have 2 other picks. I'm taking Russell Henley, top 10. This is a Donald Ross design, and that's really where he makes his hay. His last win came at the Honda Open, Donald Ross design. Almost won this year, really should have won in Hilton Head at Sedgefield, another Donald Ross design. This is Donald Ross, very accurate driver, great approach player. It's been better putting. He's starting out just outside the top 10. So, if he can just gain a few strokes in the field, he should have no problem finishing inside the top 10. The only reason why I don't like this a little bit more is because, his birdies are better gained. He's only 11th in the field, and, to climb up the board heavily, he's going to need to be, doing a little bit better than that. But that being said, if you switch over to the Donald Ross model, he is number 6 in birdies or better gains. So he does score better on Donald Ross designs. So Henley top 10. I bet that in a market where top 10s pay in full, so that's minus 105. And then my final bet, you can find this over on FanDuel, where they allow you to parlay finishing positions, is Rory top 5, Scotty top 5, and Victor top 10. And when you parlay those together, that pays minus 110. I think that's the safest bet of the week. I really do think that, the win equity between those 3 is about 85%. And the odds are pretty much reflecting that. I actually give John Rahm far less of a chance to win than the plus 900 odds reflect. So really, if you wanted to just take Scotty, Rory, and Victor all to win, bet 1 unit on each, I think that you make a little bit of money at worst. If Scotty wins, or actually, if Scotty would win, you would lose like 0.7 units. But yeah, I think, one of those guys definitely win. I'd be very surprised if anyone else does. Sure, Cantlay has a chance. Rahm in theory, starting where he is has a chance, but his game just isn't there. And I think Rahm's he's cooked. He's finished with the season. Then you're looking at guys like Cantlay. He's not in form. He's not a guy who I trust. And then Homa's so far back. Could he win? If he plays like last week, he could. But even though I had a ticket on Homa last week, I was not confident at all in him finishing the tournament out. He's a guy that, he's a very good player, but he doesn't quite have the stones, that you need to, be able to run away in a tournament against killers like this, top 30 in the world, including, the guys at the top who are just on a whole nother level. So good luck, guys. Those are the picks. Scotty to win without starting strokes, lowest 72 hole aggregate score. Russell Henley, top 10. And then, that finishing position parlay of Scotty, Rory, and Victor. Going to be looking to live bet as well. Really, this tournament is good for live betting. It's really just not a good tournament for betting pre-flop, unless, like last year, you have a very compelling case for a guy to win, at decent odds, like I did last year with Rory, but unfortunately, that's really not the case this year. I do like Scotty, but, it's just too risky to bet a lot of units on him to win without starting strokes, because there's a very realistic chance that, he could also be up 2 strokes heading into 18, just needs to bogey 18 to win, and then he bogeys, he wins by one, but the guy behind him wins the lowest aggregate score. So that's a risk, but that's a risk I'm willing to take because I think the upside is very high. I do think Scotty. I think he starts off hot. So, I don't think that there's going to be an opportunity to live bet Scotty at better odds. I think, the best odds you're going to be able to get on him are going to be pre-flop, which is obviously why I'm betting him before. But we'll see. This tournament, yeah, it's not a great product in my opinion, especially for what's supposed to be the Super Bowl of golf. But there's still money to be made, and I think at worst we go 2 out of 3 on these bets and make a little bit. And then we'll be back right at it. That's the beauty of golf. Unlike other sports that have months of off season, golf does not. So we'll be back in 2 weeks for the Fortinet. Good luck with your bets, guys. Take care. Best of luck.